All right, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us today for our day in the life at Quest Diagnostics with Junior Achievement. With that, I am going to turn it over to Catherine Malone.
Thank you, Stephanie, so much. Hello and welcome. I'm Catherine Malone, president of JU New Jersey. And on behalf of our spectacular team, we wish you good health and hope you and your families are doing very well. Today, you'll meet outstanding leaders representing the world's largest provider of diagnostic information services. So first, I'd like to thank Quest Diagnostics for this awesome partnership, especially Lindsay Greenberger, our exceptional board champions, Gabrielle Wolfson and Gail Gannon, and today's panel, Gabrielle, Omar, Cecilia, Ginger, and our JU New Jersey alum, our moderator, Kayla. I also want to thank our dedicated staff, especially Stephanie, Mia, and our devoted colleagues. To our young people watching, we want you to know that our board, staff, mentors, and corporate partners are here to support you and to help you become the very best version of yourselves. We thank you for tuning in, as you are our future leaders, and we want to introduce you to the best companies to work for, especially Quest Diagnostics. So this event is being recorded in front of a live audience, which will be saved as a video to be added to our speaker series library and to our new Career Pathway Center. This video will be shared with students across New Jersey in our effort to expose youth to the many career paths within Quest Diagnostics, especially in New Jersey, where Quest is headquartered. Now, I'd like to introduce you to Quest Diagnostics Chairman, CEO, and President, Steve Roskowski. Steve joined Quest in 2012 as President and CEO and was elected Chairman of the Board in 2016. Steve earned a master's degree in management from MIT and a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering from WPI. When we talk about the best companies to work for, it starts with the CEO, and Steve is one of the very best leaders we know. We are truly grateful for Steve's support of JA and for taking time from his very busy schedule to welcome you. Quick reminder, this event is being recorded in front of a live audience, meaning you, and will continue to live in our video library for thousands to view. So if you hear Steve mention the video, you'll understand why. So with that, we welcome Steve.
Welcome everyone to the special virtual event sponsored by Junior Achievement. And this is a special event to show you what it's like to be in a day of working at Quest Diagnostics. I'm Steve Roskowski. I'm the Chairman, CEO, and President of Quest Diagnostics, and it's a privilege to be speaking with you and also providing you an opportunity to see what we do every day. And hopefully you gain an impression as you go through this video of the important work we do. To give you an example of how important our work is, actually in March, our life all changed. In March, I think we realized really for the first time in this country that this pandemic was a big issue for the country. And I was down in Washington for another meeting, and lo and behold, I got a call from Vice President Pence. Now, he doesn't call me all the time, so that was a big deal for me. And what the Vice President asked us to do is to come together as an industry, as a laboratory industry, understand what we needed to do to get as much resource put together to as quickly as possible bring up the testing that this country needs. And so it was really a great example of how important of a role that we play at the national level, and I would argue at the global level, since we're the largest laboratory in the world. And in that regard, we did respond in a big way. We, by the end of this year, will have delivered over 20 million tests to the American public. We're by far the largest producer of laboratory testing. And you now realize, since we are front and center on newspapers, on news programs about the importance of testing, really at the tip of the spear of fighting this pandemic, because that test allows you to know whether you have the virus or do not have the virus. If you do have the virus, then you need to isolate yourself and seek medical attention. So we couldn't do this without 47,000 people that work at Quest Diagnostics. And there's many different roles at Quest. We have people that have medical degrees and PhDs in science that help develop those sophisticated tests. We have people that work in our laboratories throughout the day. We have people that actually in our courier operations that are picking up those specimens, delivering it into the laboratory. We have people working, our phlebotomists and our patient service centers that are collecting those blood specimens that we need to test to see what's going on with your body with the basic laboratory testing that we do. So 47,000 people really deserve a lot of credit for stepping up. And what I hope this video does is show you the importance of what we do and how we do it day in and day out. And we are proud of the fact that we often use is the majority of healthcare decisions are made with the benefits of the information we provide. And so that is whether a doctor decides to have you see another specialist, whether they put you on a medication, they think you should come back in 12 months. Those important next choices, a lot of the information that they use to make that important choice is based upon the laboratory information that we provide. And yet it's a very small portion of the cost. It's only about 2 to 3% of the total healthcare cost. So there's incredible leverage of what we do to help healthcare and make this a healthier, better country and better world. So with that, I'd like to again welcome you to this video. We hope you enjoy what we do at Quest. We enjoy it. And for those of you that are participating in the Junior Achievement Program, we hope you enjoy it as well, but who knows, maybe you'll be one of our employees someday. Have a great day and enjoy the video.
So with that, I would like to thank Steve for his time on the video, and I'd like to introduce our moderator for today's session, Kayla Wong. Kayla, take it away.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Stephanie. And thank you to Catherine, Lindsay, and Gail, and our partnership with Quest Diagnostics. It's so awesome to be here today. So I am Kayla Wong. I am a Junior Achievement alumni, and I'm also a Capstone Programs intern at Junior Achievement. I am also a freshman at Rutgers University studying computer science. So without further ado, let's dive right in. I'm so excited to be with all of our panelists today. And so let's first introduce ourselves, and can you please tell us about your role at Quest Diagnostics? We can start with Omar, then go to Cecilia, Gabrielle, and Ginger.
Are you able to hear me? Oh, perfect. All right. Thank you. First of all, I'd like to say thank you for giving me the opportunity to be a part of this event. I've been at Quest for just over 7 years, and so many of those years participating in a lot of events with Junior Achievement. So it's a great honor to be here today. As you mentioned, my name is Omar Joseph. I am our Regional Marketing Director for our East Region, and I spend most of my time in the New York, New Jersey area.
Hi, my name is Cecilia McKenney, and I am the Chief Human Resources Officer for Quest Diagnostics. I have been with Quest for 3 years, but proud to say I'm a Jersey girl. I was born and raised in New Milford, New Jersey, which is in Bergen County. Great to be with you all.
Okay, so I'm Gabrielle Wolfson. I'm the Chief Information and Digital Officer at Quest Diagnostics. It's just a huge honor to be here with you today. And I also live in New Jersey. I've been with the company for almost 2 years. And I manage all aspects of information technology, both for value creation as well as value delivery. And I'll get more into what that means later on. Thank you.
My name is Ginger Puglia, and I am currently a medical technologist at our Quest Pittsburgh business unit. I have been working at Quest Diagnostics since 2016. I started as a lab aide and then was promoted to a medical technologist in the microbiology department, and now I'm currently working in the molecular department doing COVID testing.
Awesome. Well, it's lovely to meet you all. And for the students on the line, as we continue with this session, if you have any questions, I want to encourage you to drop your questions in the chat. Make sure you send them to me, Kayla Wong, and at the end, we're going to try and address as many questions as we can. So let's jump right in and let's start off. During this time, we've been hearing a lot about testing. So Cecilia and Gabrielle, and then we can pass it off to Ginger. From a high level, what is the process of developing a test for an infectious disease?
That's a great question, Kayla. Thanks so much for asking it. So Gabrielle and I are going to tag team this question, and we thought we would start with a little bit of an overview of Quest. So Quest Diagnostics, we are the leader, the largest diagnostic testing company in the world, and our revenues are just under 8 billion. So in 2019, they were 7.6 billion. We processed 160 million requisitions. So a requisition is an order that a doctor prescribes for a test or multiple tests. And you know what's amazing about Quest Diagnostics, we're actually a very big logistics company. So I sometimes call us the FedEx of diagnostic testing, because every night we have 5,000 vehicles that go out to pick up specimens all over the country. We have almost 30 planes. We have literally a flight operations out of Reading, Pennsylvania, and other parts of the country that fly kind of hopscotching around the country to pick up test tubes, requisitions to bring to the right lab. And then every night we result over 1 million tests. Just remarkable work. So many of our employees, we have almost 48,000 employees, that Steve said, and we are a 24-hour operation. So we have employees on what we call first shift, which is kind of the traditional 9 to 5, and then we have people that work second shift, and then we have people that work third shift. You might say, wow, who would ever want to work third shift? But you know what? There are a lot of people that fits with their lifestyle. They might be working parents, so that really works. And then we also are a 7-day-a-week operation. So our labs operate, and Ginger will be able to tell you a little bit more about that. But we operate 7 days a week. We have how does a requisition get to Quest? Well, in most cases, it's either you have your blood drawn at a doctor's office, or you have your blood drawn at what we call a patient service center. We have patient service centers in Walmarts. We have patient service centers in Safeway, grocery stores, and we have them, in many other, strip malls and office buildings. But that's a little bit about Quest. We're, as I said, a very big company. We have 48,000 employees. We hire almost 10,000 people a year. So it's a great place to work, whether you're coming out of a certification program or a college program. Next up, we'll share a little bit about how a test actually gets developed. We can go to the next slide. So this is a great flywheel on how a test gets developed, and I'm going to ask Gabrielle to share more about that.
Okay, and I think that we could advance the slides to the next ones. I mean, when we talk about testing, we're going to take two perspectives here. So from an individual perspective, how is each individual interacting with Quest? So it all starts with, with a sample. So a person basically not feeling well and interacting with a doctor, and basically going to one of our patient service centers and just interacting with the staff there to either we either collect blood, urine, or different types of other tissues or fluids from the body to conduct the testing. And then we transport it to one of our main laboratory locations. And basically we have just a number of main facilities all over the country in which tests, as Cecilia mentioned, are being run 24/7. We use a number of instruments, very specialized, that depending on the type of test that we're running, are performing. Most of our tests are run overnight. We collect all the specimens during the day, we transport them, and then our laboratories are in full swing all through the night delivering results. And once the results are being delivered, they get to the doctor, they get to your mobile device, depending on, depending on the venue of interaction that's selected. So I have to say that in addition to that more of a traditional interaction between an individual and a doctor, we also see a huge trend of growth of our consumer-initiated business. So talking about the fact that the patient is evolving as the one controlling all the interactions when it comes to healthcare, but also when it comes to testing, that's also an interesting aspect of what we do that's emerging in the marketplace. So now from the perspective of how these tests are actually developed, and especially, zooming into infectious diseases, given the year that we've had with COVID. So again, it all starts with a sample, and there are different types of methodologies that are being used to identify the type of microorganism that could be driving this particular infection. So we stain the sample in a particular way, and through the staining, we can see the shape and the density of that particular microorganism. We culture some of those samples, meaning that we place them in conditions in which they grow, and basically we are able to identify the type of microorganism that we're dealing with. And based on these, type of findings, our large staff of clinical expert scientists develop the testing methodologies that are needed to be employed. If we focus on COVID, because 2020, the word of the day is going to be COVID, a year that's going to be going down in history with all the many advancements we've made from a testing perspective, speed of action, and such. We basically deployed a different type of test that had to do with genetic testing. So this type of tests are nucleic acid-based tests, and they look at basically the genetic composition of this particular virus. The PCR, and so you probably heard about this particular acronym, PCR. It stands for polymerase chain reaction. What it is, it's basically a test that produces many copies of the gene from this microorganism, enough so that it makes it easier to recognize. So basically, these type of methodologies, call for, different types of instrumentations, very sophisticated instruments that need to be used to develop these tests. I have to say that from a Quest Diagnostics perspective, we'll talk about the role of technology and all this, but data plays a huge role for us as an organization. It took us 9 days from the time the test was approved by the FDA to bring to the population. Usually, this is an effort that usually could take between 3 to 6 months for us, depending on the complexity of the test. The organization came together as never before, connected different levels, starting with our scientists and medical personnel, but all across the different functions of the company to deliver this capability for the population. So I mentioned the FDA. Basically, once we have a test well-defined in constraints of the instruments and the processes and everything that has to happen to deliver this test, then we have to go to FDA for approval. That's a process that it's just incredibly detailed. It looks at data accumulated through the different phases of testing. And once we receive, approval, in the case of COVID, we received something that we call EUA, Emergency Use Authorization. Then the test becomes available for the population. So it's a lengthy, normally, so traditionally, this has been a lengthy process, interacting with the FDA, getting the necessary approvals, getting to the data and the different type of correlations that are necessary to describe the accuracy of the test. in the times of COVID, all these steps happened really quickly, very fast. And if I look at our company, Quest Diagnostics, it was just amazingly impressive to see how the company came together and was able to bring this capability to the population very quickly in record time. We're able to scale up our production capacities just in 2 weeks increments. We went from 3,000 tests a day in the beginning of time to over 200,000 test capacity for our molecular or PCR testing. There is another different type of test. I won't get into it. It's called the serology test that measures the immune system response and the antibodies that individuals would have when it comes to COVID. We have, again, for those types of tests, another 200,000 tests per day capacity. So it's just huge capacity, took a lot of effort, a lot of specialized type of activities of connecting instruments, synchronizing and managing a supply chain that's been it's just challenging this year. Working with all of our partners and just really being able to respond to the population needs. So it's a very complex process. I just stay high level and I tap it's just very high level aspects of how a test is developed. Because obviously my background is actually in math and sciences, not really in chemistry, and I don't have a PhD as most of our scientists and medical resources have, the ones that work at Quest Diagnostics. So hopefully I made it a little bit of justice with that. So that was my summary in a nutshell. Okay.
Back to you, Kayla.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And Ginger, do you have anything to add?
If we could go to the next slide, this could be an opportunity to show everybody what the actual lab looks like. In a couple of the pictures, there are the instrument that I'm currently trained on, and that is a PCR machine. We get the samples from the processing department. Our lab aides do the setup of those and prepare them for the instrument. And once the instrument is ready, we are able to run the samples, and we can then take our samples. A few hours later, the instrument will give us results. We merge it, we double check everything. Even before that, we had to make sure that the test that they developed was going to be reproducible again across all of our business units. And with each instrument, not every business unit has the same instrument. So it's called a validation, and it's kind of like a test run. There's no patients involved. There are reagents that the company that makes the instrument provides us, and we do a dry run, a test. And if everything goes well with our validation, then we can say, yes, hey, this is okay to start running real people on. So that's always a very exciting time in the lab because we get to do it. And once that goes live, the doctors or other health professionals that would like to order that test, they get the green light, they order it, we get the samples, we process them, and we try our best to get them out in a timely manner. And after you get your test results, your doctor or medical provider can continue with your course of treatment. So maybe you had the sniffles and maybe had a cough. Well, if you get the COVID test, well, maybe it was negative. So maybe you had some other respiratory ailment like the flu or just the cold. So we guide your doctor or other health provider on how to best treat you.
Awesome. Yeah, I think it's amazing to see, number one, just the technology that you use when looking at these samples, and also with what Cecilia said about just how, we give information and data and that whole path that it takes for us to get a diagnosis. I think that's so awesome to share. So Gabrielle and Omar, this new normal from COVID has really changed the way that we work today. How has COVID-19 shaped the future of the skills needed in your fields and the workforce as a whole? And in that, what role does technology play?
Okay, Omar, would you like to start?
Sure. So I'll say for me, and as you recall, I'm in marketing. Two of the things that have become clear for us that we've needed to develop are really around collaboration and agility, right? So I spend a lot of my time, a lot of my job is working with a number of different parts of our organization, whether it's operations, whether it's our sales team, other people in marketing. And we're used to being in a place where you can just walk by and say hello, have a conversation, and you have a certain specific level of rapport that makes it easy to work. And today, you don't have that. Everybody's, or a lot of people are working virtually, and it makes it a little bit more difficult. So we've had to figure out different ways to collaborate with each other. Obviously, technology has been a part of that. We're on a WebEx now. We do a lot of work around Skype and Teams and Zoom, which have been really helpful for us. Those pieces of technology have served us really well, whether we're talking about working on projects or even developing relationships further. Some of us have happy hours where we spend time after work and collaborate with each other virtually. So that's one of the things, and I think about agility, and I think this is something all of us can appreciate, whether you're a student or you're in the workforce. Have the ability to change your plans, the way you were planning to do things, is really important. Coming into 2020, we had a set of ideas and priorities we were going to work on, and the coronavirus has changed a lot of that. We've had to stop and pause or push back projects. We've had to change the way we approach projects. For Quest Diagnostics, one of the things that's changed for us a lot is there was a period of time where people weren't going to the doctors. And if they're not going to the doctors, they're not getting tested, right? So that changed our business significantly for a while. It's still down a little bit, but we've made changes around that, and so agility, I think, is the second one that I'll say is important for us. Gabrielle?
Yes, thank you, Omar. And I have to say that I agree that agility and collaboration, those were the two pillars that I came across in 2020 as fundamental, all across. And from a business perspective, from personal, even personal interaction, even in our personal lives, we find ourselves communicating with our families. And I know my 80-year-old mom via Zoom and such. So adapting to these new ways of interacting. The same type of principles apply when we talk about our customers. So, all of a sudden we find ourselves in situations where we have to connect the dots from a digital connection perspective in different ways. There is a higher dependency on mobile devices, on digital ways of engaging with our customers, with our facilities. People may not have gone to doctors in person, but they found ways to receive healthcare through telehealth solutions that had to be incorporated into our digital landscape. So very quickly so. Speed is of the essence. So in 2020, we couldn't afford to put together plans and think about different ways to best advance our digital capabilities. We actually had to think of solutions and have them implemented right away, immediately. So the tolerance for lengthy periods of analysis and design just went out the window. So talking about agility, both from an organizational agility perspective, so reaching across different functional areas and coming together to understand what we have to do, but also from the perspective of executing in an agile way. So, project management principles all of a sudden became obsolete. And, we had to find ways to compress, basically just deliver in a totally different manner. So those types of changes were just really top of mind. In addition to having to, get really comfortable right away with virtual sessions, virtual meetings. I know that I spend, I think, all of this time, 12 hours a day, staring at a screen. As Omar mentioned, rather than interacting face to face, it takes a different skill set. When it comes to communication, quite frankly, we find ourselves in Zoom speaking over each other and having to control that interaction in different ways. So it changes behaviors too, internally, having these new venues of interaction. So from a different perspective, technology had to be stepped up as well. When we talk about bringing a test to the population in 9 days versus 3 or 6 months, we're talking about speed around data analytics. We're talking about speed in the way information flows and enables different actions in test development activities. All these data, the focus on data analytics, the focus on AI and ML, I know that we all hear these buzzwords all the time. Well, the focus has been more so than ever in advancing our capabilities from this perspective, because we can't just be passive and understand what's happening to the population in this environment. We have to predict, we have to anticipate, we have to imagine the effects of the different types of situations that we're dealing with. So that need to advance our capabilities and our technology solutions to be more predictive, to anticipate. Also in our industry, we have no room for errors and sidestepping. So from the perspective of developing solutions and technologies, we had to be extra vigilant and just really focus on risks a lot more so than ever, because when there is a huge need to increase speed of execution, then the margin of error could increase in those situations, and we couldn't afford it. We had to make sure that we took extra measures to mitigate those types of risks. So it's just a very complex. I think that the answer to this question could be very lengthy. I could be talking to you about all the details of the many things that we had to adapt and change. But I'll tell you that there are some great lessons learned that will be continuing way past COVID. This ability to become more agile, to work in a different way, to interact with each other across functional areas, and just really step up the level of execution and agility in an organization. That's gonna just amplify in the future. This is a new beginning for the world of business across the board. I think that the speed of innovation has changed dramatically. We're thinking out of the box. We create new ways of addressing challenges every single day. So that speed of innovation is going to take us very far in the future, way beyond COVID. That's why when we discuss the situation internally with our teams, we truly believe that 2020 is just going to be a special year in many ways. Of course, we have the tragedies and everything we had to put into, go through as a population, as a global population. But from the perspective of advancing our capabilities, of challenging ourselves to respond to all these dynamic situations and, focusing on results, innovating, I think it's a new beginning across the board.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that response. And I think, with agility, that's so important, especially like you said, how, patients weren't able to go to the doctor, but you were able to find a workaround for that and in a quick manner so that your business was still up. I think that's something that's so important, especially in a time like this. So going off of that, I know about Quest's really awesome culture about giving back to their community. So Cecilia and Omar, can you talk about how Quest works with and supports the communities where it operates?
Thanks for that question, Kayla. This is one of the questions I was really looking forward to sharing some great examples. So I'd ask students to think about three things. We support our communities around three things. Time, so we volunteer our time. Second, we provide talent, so expertise. And third, we provide treasure, AKA money, donations. So let me give you some examples of what I mean by time, talent, and treasure. If you Google Quest and initiative, in August, we announced in a press release a initiative called Quest for Health Equity. We are committed to breaking down the barriers of health inequity that exists in our country. It's well documented that people of color are disproportionately impacted by the COVID pandemic. And it's well documented that that people of color and elderly are disproportionately impacted by other health conditions because they don't have adequate access to health care. So Quest has committed over $100 million and provided, stood up a team of 7 people who are dedicated to initiatives to reduce health inequities. And one that's local to us, Reverend David Jefferson is, I'm going to call him the CEO of the Metropolitan Baptist Church in Newark. And we are working with him and 5 other Black clergy to provide free testing, and I would say equally important, health education, how to own your own health in Newark and then in 5 other cities around the country. Atlanta, Detroit, Washington, D.C., and New York City are the 4 others. So that's a great example of where Quest is giving back to its communities. And then the other one I would say is through our employees. We have what's called employee business networks. Omar is part of one. I lead one. Gabrielle's going to be leading a new one. And so I'm the executive sponsor for Pride, our LGBTQ organization. And it is, I think it's like 800 strong Pride members. And we help each other, but we also help other organizations like the Hendrick Martin Institute or Stomp Out Bullying, so to help, address important societal issues. So, that's what we stand for. That's what our values are. And it's really a part of our DNA to support the communities that we operate in. Omar focuses on the East region. I know he can share a little bit more about what we're doing right here. Omar?
Sure, and I know we're running a little over time, so I'll be quick here. One thing I'll say is about those employee business networks that Cecilia mentioned is that they are all over our country, and we think about being local and supporting those communities. They do outstanding work in all of the communities they're a part of, whether it's being part of events, volunteering, or other things like that, in increasing education within those specific communities. In the East region, what I'll say is that the first thing that we do to help our community is to provide, this diagnostic testing, which is so incredibly important to understanding what's going on with their health. We do that with many organizations that help and serve the underserved communities, like federally qualified health centers. So that's one space where I'll say we're at. And another place is we do a lot of work around sponsorships with local community organizations, just like Junior Achievement, where we're helping to further their missions and goals, whether it's them, other organizations that are doing work to help increase health literacy. We're trying to be a part of the entire spectrum so that we can help the communities in a number of different ways. So that's what we'll say we do locally here in the East region. We work a lot with those organizations to get down to where the people are and where we can be most effective and help the most.
Awesome. I think that's so inspiring to see how you're not only giving back to the community, but you're looking at the time that we're living in and seeing where you can give back and have the most effect. And that's definitely so powerful. So for all the students on the line here, I think that they're, so inspired by all that you're doing, and they want to get involved and are thinking about how they can, have a job at Quest in the future. So Cecilia, can you tell us about the different career paths that Quest Diagnostics has to offer, since they offer so many job opportunities surrounding multiple career paths?
Sure, thanks, Kayla. So listen up, everybody. There are huge opportunities at Quest. Ginger is a great example of, a medical. So that's the first career path I want to talk about is you can be a medical professional. And there are different levels of medical professionals. You can be a lab assistant. You can be a specimen processor. Some of those jobs do not require a college degree. So you may not want to go get a college degree, at least right now, okay? And that's cool. That is totally great. What we want you to do is to get a certification. So you might need to get a phlebotomy certification or a med tech certification or a lab certification. There are healthcare schools that you can go to get those certifications. So get a skill so that you're employable. You could also, your driver's license is a skill. You got to have a clean driver's license. So you need, because you can be a courier for us. Matter of fact, when you turn 18, you can be a courier for us, even on a part-time basis. Like I said, driving around, picking up specimens. So there are jobs that don't require a college education that are really important. You can grow your career and you can make really good money and have good benefits. Then there are career paths that do require a college degree. There are technical career paths. So Gabrielle is the uber example of she's the chief technology and digital officer. So she went and got her college degree in technology. Really recommend that as a great career path. Science. So we employ 650 doctors and PhD people who are scientists that are inventing new tests and improving tests. So that's a career path. And then there's engineering. You might not realize it, but we're building a new lab in Clifton, New Jersey. And we have hired lots of engineers to figure out what is the most efficient way to move those specific recs around the lab, and what are the most efficient ways to run the operations. And then I'd call there's a support career path. I'm an example of a support career path. Omar is a quasi support. I call him a sales and support career path in marketing. I'm in human resources. You can do finance. Some of those jobs require a college degree, some don't. But what I will tell you is, the last thing I'll leave you with is, a lot of people, particularly I hear women say, I'm not a math person. I'm not a science person. I want to challenge that. Everyone has the DNA and the brain power to be both, use right side of your brain and left side of your brain. Be creative and be technical. Now, whether you're an expert at it, push yourself out of your comfort zone. Now is the time to get the education, the basic broad education. Don't peg yourself as I'm an artistic person, or I'm a math person, or I'm a techie. Try a little of everything, because when you get to be Omar's age, and then when you get to be, oh my goodness, Gabrielle and my age, you're specializing. When you're young, don't specialize. Get a little bit of everything, because you'll learn over time what interests you. That's the most important thing, is what gets you motivated every day to do your best. I'll leave it there.
Definitely. I love everything you said. And I'm so inspired to hear about the different career paths that you can take at Quest. Just knowing that, you don't have to be the best at science, but there is still room for you in that company. So that's really awesome. So for the students who are trying to think about what they're doing right now, Ginger, what advice can you give to the young people watching today who are working to decide on their career path? Can you tell us a little bit about how you decided on which career path to pursue?
Thanks, Kayla. Personally, for me, 5 years ago, I didn't even know what a medical technologist was. Just to start out, I did a lot of shadowing when I was in high school, did a couple internships while I was in college, and that was a great way to get hands-on and see if being in the medical field was right for me. Because even though I originally wanted to be a veterinarian, so I would shadow some veterinarians here and there, and I found out that I was okay with blood. I was okay with sputum. Sometimes that's not for everyone. So if you have a chance to shadow somebody in a field that you're interested in, that's a great start. Now, for myself, I originally wanted to be a veterinarian, like I said, and I went to a small liberal arts college in Western Pennsylvania called St. Vincent. I acquired my bachelor's of science in biology, and thinking about graduate school, I found out that becoming a veterinarian was a little cost prohibitive. So then I started looking towards the lab. What can I didn't know what kind of labs were out there. I eventually landed a laboratory job in a production lab. And then I found out from a coworker at that lab that their stepson worked at Quest in Pittsburgh. And I had no idea that they even had a main lab. A lot of people think, oh, those little places where I get my blood drawn or they take a swab, those are called patient service centers. I don't know why, but I just thought that, oh, they just do the testing right there. Having no idea that they actually would take your samples and send them to a main hub. And becoming a medical technologist was, I started at Quest in 2016 as a lab aide. Now that position does not require a degree whatsoever, and it actually gave me a great foundation whenever I became a medical technologist. I was able to learn how to prepare specimens so that later a medical technologist could read it. And when I became a medical technologist, I got to see, oh, the work that I did before, this is the after, and then I can help guide the physician or medical professional on their treatment plan for each individual patient.
I love what you said about job shadowing. I think that with job shadowing, just like with what your experience was, you're able to see if you really want to take that career path and see if that's really right for you. But also it can have you learn a lot of hard and soft skills that you can carry on to your future career, which I think is so powerful. So Cecilia and Gabrielle, for the students planning for their future, what are some skills and jobs that you see becoming more prevalent in the workforce?
Gabrielle, you want to kick it off and I'll follow, or vice versa?
Yeah, I could, absolutely. Since I lead technology functions, I'm going to talk about technology because nowadays technology is at, just a major enabler across the board, across every industry. So when we talk about the different types of solutions and changes that we've seen, especially in 2020, and we talk about data analysis, data scientists, that's an area that's basically it's very hot right now. It's just going to be so much more so in the future. So understanding the value of information and leveraging information and such, that's a huge career path that I think is going to be important. Also software development, when you talk about digital enablement and being able to work across IoTs, across different connected devices, and being able to develop software and solutions around those that respond to the different market needs, when those needs occur, that's going to be huge. Also, another huge area of opportunity there from a technology perspective. Also, I think that Cecilia mentioned before the value of a broader education. I just have to mention the fact that when we talk about technology jobs and technology career paths, they're not what they used to be even 5 years ago. Nowadays, when we talk about functions as design thinking, meaning designing solution based on the true understanding of the customers, we usually go out there and look for different types of backgrounds and educational type of experiences. We're looking for marketing people, for example, or we're looking for people that can think creatively of solutions, not necessarily just for those experiences in the technology and code development areas. So technology is becoming a different type of opportunity altogether. I think the underlying advice there is just to continue to be creative, to have that curiosity, challenge the status quo, and just leverage your strengths.
So I'll add that there are very important skills that you don't necessarily get to develop as much with the advent of everything digital. It's your communication skills are not as well developed because you're emailing, you're texting, you're not presenting. So I would encourage you to consider getting a part-time job. That when I reflected as I was preparing for this, I worked at Burger King when I think I had to get working papers at 16. I had to have my mother sign the working papers. And I closed Burger King on many a night, and I came home smelling like hamburgers and French fries and had to wash my uniform like 3 times. I learned a lot about work and about what it means to do a quality work, interacting with customers who didn't like the Whopper I made, or who were angry about waiting, or their French fries were cold, and how do I deal with that? Those were really important skills for me that I still use today. And then I share one other example. I was a nurse's aide in a nursing home, and I had to do things like Ginger. I was unprepared for, dealing with the bodily functions, helping, people that were my grandparents, to get dressed and to go to the bathroom and to deal with how they felt, supporting them, being empathetic. Can you imagine being in a nursing home? Those are all really important skills. So I would encourage you to, try different part-time jobs. They are going to enrich and inform you as to what you like and help develop what I would call the soft skills that are very, very important to marry up with technical skills like Gabrielle is talking about, or education. So I'll pause there.
Yes, definitely. And as a part-time intern right now, I know that the skills that I'm learning at Junior Achievement, I can't learn them really from high school or college. It's something that really just being in this role has taught me. And I know that these skills are going to carry on for really the rest of my life. So thank you so much for sharing that. And so Omar, with your experience, what are some of the necessary soft skills that students should have when entering the workforce?
Sure. So first I'll say, to Cecilia's point, my first job was at Wendy's, and I'll tell anybody to start in fast food. It is hard, it is not easy, and you will learn a lot. You will smell bad, but it's a great first job. So definitely take that advice, Cecilia. That's a great point out of reflection. So as far as soft skills are concerned, when we talk about soft skills, thinking about being able to socialize, communicate appropriately, having a great attitude, those are all important things, but I think it gets magnified a bit when you're in the workforce. And what I mean by that is that there is a real sense of diversity in the workforce that you may not be used to. You may come from a community that's not so diverse. I'll say that my community was diverse when I was in high school, but when I went to college, Kayla, Rutgers, there's 10,000 people coming from all over the country who are not like me in many ways, whether we're talking about race, background, even their hobbies. English may be their second language. So what college taught me is how to work with people who are not like me. And that's not easy if you're coming from a place where there's not a lot of diversity. So whether you don't go to college and you don't get that opportunity, but you get it in high school, embrace diversity and embrace people who aren't like you. If you have an opportunity to go outside of your little social group, your clique, or whatever you call it, do that, because you can learn a lot from people who aren't like you. And when you get in the workforce, you're going to have to work with people who you may not like, who aren't like you, who communicate differently than you do. And if you can't thrive in that environment, you're not going to be able to make it. And so I would say try to embrace some diversity. It's a little bit less about the soft skills, but learning how to take those soft skills and use them with people who aren't like you.
Yes, definitely. Embracing diversity, and also I think just really taking your experiences and using them as a learning experience and those different opportunities and experiences that you encounter, because I feel like you really can take something out of really everything that you go through and work through. So thank you so much. And now I just want to leave our students with this one last question, and anyone can feel free to jump in here. What is one piece of advice that you would give to students ready to take on the world?
All right, I'll start off. You can do anything that you set your mind to and your commitment to. Do not let somebody else tell you what you can't do. Hear your own voice.
I'll hop in and I'll give you a piece of advice that was a quote that one of my mentors gave to me, and it's, you can't build a reputation on what you're going to do, and that's from Henry Ford. So, it's really about your results and about the things that you actually get done. Don't talk a lot, just perform.
That you own your future, that it's all in your hands, and don't let anything derail you from what you're looking to achieve. So it's all up to you. You can work through anything, and you can make it happen.
My piece of advice I would like to add is there's sometimes a corny quote from Confucius that says, choose a job you'll love and you'll never have to work a day in your life. Sometimes that's not very realistic. I happen to really, really like horses, and I actually worked on a horse farm for 2 years. But that really wasn't going to pay my bills at the end of the month. Steve Jobs said the only way to do great work is to love what you do. My current role, working as a medical technologist, I'm helping doctors get the answers that they need to get their patients the medical treatment they need. I do a lot of behind the scenes problem solving, and every day is a new and exciting challenge for me, and I'm very fulfilled by that. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing all of those pieces of advice. And looking at the time, we're going to start to wrap up. So I just want to first thank all of our panelists on behalf of myself, Stephanie, Catherine, and our team at Junior Achievement for being a part of this event. And I know that the students really took a lot out of that. I think my biggest takeaways is really just using this time that you have, getting a part-time job, learning about yourself, getting those hard and soft skills and whatever certifications that you can, using the experiences that you have to learn something else. And with all of that knowledge and with all of those lessons that you learn, you will truly get something out of it. You'll have skills that you can use for the rest of your life, and it'll help you so much. So with that being said, thank you to all of our students who attended today. Thank you to our panelists and Quest Diagnostics for this partnership. And yeah, thank you guys so much.
Is there one last thing I can say, Kayla?
Yes.
So, we have to acknowledge we are in a pandemic, and, access to PCR testing is sometimes difficult. I do want everyone to know we are in the holiday season. We have a business called Quest Direct. Gabrielle mentioned it. You can go on Quest Diagnostics website and click on Quest Direct. And, a family member of yours, if they need a PCR test, can order a Quest Direct test contactless. So it's $119, and you have to submit it for insurance. But if you need a test, you can get a test on Quest Direct. And I've shared that a number of times, and a lot of people don't know. I put it on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and I've literally had 2 people ask me in the last 24 hours about it. I want people to know that that's there. It's a peace of mind access.
Yes, thank you so much for sharing that. Definitely very important as we enter this cold winter and the holiday season.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so thank you all so much for coming. And yeah, with that, we will wrap up.
Thank you so much.